Westmoreland County lost more population over the past decade than any other county in Pennsylvania.
By the early 1700s, we begin to see major changes in the depiction of geography in North America. The 1750s represented a time period when the land west of the Alleghenies remained in dispute between the British and the French. This area would be fought over during a 7-year war known as the French and Indian War, and what would transpire in this region the years afterwards would become a birthplace of a new county in Pennsylvania.
A fertile country region in western Pennsylvania, Westmoreland County was founded on February 26, 1773, stemming out of the mountainous original Bedford County. It is one of Pennsylvania's original grandparent counties and has influential roots dating back to before the French and Indian War.
Now, entering its 3rd century, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania was the 11th and last county established under the Penn proprietary government during the tumultuous final years of British rule prior to the outbreak of the American Revolution. Most likely named after Westmoreland County in the northwestern part of England, it was one of 2 Westmoreland counties in British North America, the other being in Virginia.
From the time of its creation, Westmoreland County played a pivotal role in bringing civilization and English law to trans-Allegheny colonial frontier. For 225 years, from the opening of the Western Ohio Valley after the French and Indian War to the present-day post-industrial high-tech revolution, Westmoreland County has remained a leader in the economic and political development of the region, state, and
the nation. Some early history of Westmoreland County. Nearly a half a century has passed from the time of the founding of the first permanent English colony at Jamestown, Virginia, before Europeans entered the land west of the Allegheny Mountains and into what is now western Pennsylvania. That account is detailed in the diary of Christopher Gist, surveyor and agent for the Ohio Company of Virginia, who was on November 12th through November 14th, 1750, staying at the Delaware Indian town at Loyalhannon near present-day Ligonier. The first white settlement within the region of Old Westmoreland was sponsored by the Ohio Company in what is now present-day Fayette County. Virginia continued to lay claim to the region through the onset of the American Revolution, setting into motion a running and often heated conflict between the governments of Virginia and Pennsylvania. Major General Edward Braddock's ill-fated 1755 military expedition to dislodge the French and their Indian allies at Fort Duquesne established a major transportation artery, Braddock's Road, into western Pennsylvania. This military road from Virginia through Cumberland, Maryland, had a major impact on the future settlement of the region, providing easy access to western Pennsylvania for immigrants from Maryland, Virginia, and the Western Carolinas. It was not until Brigadier General John Forbes built a military road from Carlisle to present-day Pittsburgh in 1758 that the door was opened for settlers from eastern Pennsylvania to start settlements in what is now Westmoreland County. The Forbes Road, or the Great Road as it was known to the thousands of settlers that followed and entered present-day Westmoreland County, at the top of the Laurel Ridge near where there was a fort constructed. It was named Fort Ligonier by General John Forbes in honor of Sir John Viscount Ligonier, commander-in-chief of all of the king's forces. By the fall of 1758, Fort Ligonier was the military springboard for the assault on Fort Duquesne that drove the French from western Pennsylvania. During the 8 years that it served as a British garrison, Fort Ligonier was never taken by an enemy. It served as a post of passage to the new Fort Pitt, and during Pontiac's War of 1763 was a vital link in the British communication and supply lines. Fort Ligonier was attacked twice and was besieged by the Native Americans prior to the decisive victory at Bushy Run in August of that year. The fort was decommissioned from active service in 1766. The Forbes Road continued from Ligonier through present-day Youngstown, Hannistown, and Murraysville, and on the forks of the Monongahela, Allegheny, and Ohio rivers, where General Forbes would rename the captured fort Pittsburgh to honor the British Prime Minister William Pitt.
Well, by 18th century frontier standards, the Forbes Road provided a superhighway into western Pennsylvania, and the wilderness, the duel for North America between England and France, known in the Americas as the French and Indian War, ended in a victory for the British in 1763. The Battle of Bushy Run, near present-day Harrison City, was the site of a pivotal battle in that war. On August 5th and 6th, 1763, British troops under the command of Henry Bouquet met and defeated a large Indian force at Bushy Run, effectively ending a major threat to the safety of the settlers in the region. The end of the French and Indian War resulted in the British government issuing the Royal Proclamation of 1763.
Issued to placate or make less angry the Native American tribes who were complaining about the encroachment of white settlers on their lands. The act forbade English settlement beyond the headwaters draining into the Atlantic Ocean from the crest of Laurel Hill. Neither the threats of arrest nor later enactment of the death penalty for violators of the law stopped squatters and some early traders from moving into the area. The Treaty of Fort Stanwix with the Six Nations, the Delaware, and Shawnee Indians in 1768 finally permitted settlement west of the Alleghenies. Fueled by the glowing accounts of the land of the West, taken back east by the soldiers of Braddock and Bouquet's armies, settlers poured into western Pennsylvania in pursuit of land. As the area of Westmoreland County began to be settled, the composition of the population began to take shape. Ethically, the majority of the population in early Westmoreland was composed of Scottish, Irish, German, and English settlers. They were predominantly Presbyterian and Lutheran. The Penn government soon found it necessary to create a new county, both to establish the province's ownership of the land and to establish law and order in an area where many unruly individuals cared little about civil law or laws concerning land ownership.
Bedford County, established in 1771, had assumed superficial jurisdiction over the settlements of western Pennsylvania, in addition to administering over the population along the eastern slopes of the Alleghenies. Westmoreland was created by Arthur St. Clair, then living in Ligonier, representing the Penn's family interest in western Pennsylvania. He petitioned the authorities in Philadelphia to establish a new county. In addition to Virginia's aggressive presence in the region, he pointed out that the Forbes Road was a rough military road, and it wound over 100 miles and 3 mountain ranges from Bedford to Pittsburgh, making it difficult for Bedford to serve the needs of a rapidly growing population. By the Act of the Assembly, dated February 26, 1773, Westmoreland County was carved out of Bedford County, which had previously been created as part of Cumberland County.
At its inception, Westmoreland was comprised of what are now Westmoreland, Washington, Allegheny, Fayette, and Greene counties, and part of Beaver County, Armstrong, and Indiana counties. The same statute that created Westmoreland County also designated Hannistown along the Forbes Road as the temporary county seat. Robert Hanna and town residents Joseph Irwin and Samuel Sloan were appointed along with George Wilson and John Cavett as trustees to choose a permanent county seat. Hanna and his neighbors outvoted Wilson and Cavett, who favored Pittsburgh. It was in Robert Hanna's Tavern on April 6, 1773, that the first English court west of the Alleghenies was organized by Robert Hanna as presiding judge. Arthur St. Clair served as Justice Prothonotary, Register, and Recorder, and Clerk of the new county. General St. Clair later served in the Revolution. He was elected as a delegate to the Congress under the Articles of Confederation, and within a year was elected one of its presidents, the highest office in the American government, until the United States Constitution created the office of President of the United States in 1787. He also served as the first governor of the Northwest Territory. Today, his grave is preserved in St. Clair Park in Greensburg. From 1773 until the outbreak of the Revolution, the conflicting land claims between Pennsylvania and Virginia remained the dominant political issue, as each claimant arrested one another's officials, nearly erupting into war over the issue.
In the early 1770s, it was therefore unclear whether Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas belonged to Pennsylvania or Virginia. Both colonies proceeded if they had a better claim on the area. Virginia administered the region as the District of West Augusta, while Pennsylvania, it was considered part of Westmoreland County. Complicating this border dispute even further were the vast land claims of the Ohio Company of Virginia and Indiana Land Company along the Ohio River.
The two companies combined forces in 1769 to create the Grand Ohio Company, with the intention of creating a colony known as Vandalia, which would have had similar borders to Westsylvania had it been recognized. The outbreak of the American Revolutionary War effectively brought to an end the efforts to establish Vandalia. The conflict was finally settled in 1776 as the common cause of the revolution made further rivalries undesirable. Negotiations continued until 1784, when the definite boundary lines roughly akin to today's boundaries were established by way of friendly agreement between the two states. Two significant events relative to Westmoreland's role in the American Revolution occurred during the brief life of Jamestown's reign. On May 16, 1775, settlers along with Arthur St. Clair gathered at Jamestown and affixed their names to the Jamestown Resolves, agreeing to bind themselves together and to take up arms if necessary to resist further tyrannical acts of Parliament. More than a year later, the Declaration of Independence would be signed in Philadelphia. The second event was when some officers and men of the British Indian Department and their Seneca Indian allies attacked and burnt Jamestown on July 13, 1782, in retaliation for American atrocities committed against them. Although rebuilt to some degree, the town never recovered. Archaeological surveys begun in 1969 and have resulted in a partial reconstruction of the town and its stockade. The site is a designated National Historic Registered Site, as well as a Westmoreland County Park, and is administered by the Westmoreland County Historical Society. The need to reestablish the county seat resulted in a committee of trustees appointed by the General Assembly, selecting Greensburg, then it was called Newtown, as the new county seat. Greensburg was located on the new state route, which ran from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Parts of this road would later become the Lincoln Highway. The first court at the new county seat was held on January 7th, 1787, in a log building on the site of the present-day courthouse. Rapid growth in the press of the county business resulted in the construction of new courthouses on the same site in 1798, 1856, and the present French Renaissance structure completed in 1907. After the Colonial War for Independence, Westmoreland, the mother county, gave birth in her entirety to 5 counties that were carved from her original boundaries: Allegheny, Armstrong, Fayette, Indiana, and Washington counties. After 1800, 11 other counties in the western section of Pennsylvania, Beaver, Butler, Clarion, Crawford, Erie, Forest, Greene, Lawrence, Mercer, Venango, and Warren counties, were created in part from these counties, making Old Westmoreland a grandmother county as well. Westmoreland's role in the shaping of the state and nation near the end of the 19th century. Visionary entrepreneurs and political leadership brought together men, machines, and an abundance of bituminous coal that would allow Westmoreland County to play a vital role in the nation's industrial growth as agriculture gave way to post-Civil War expansion. The county seat of Greensburg in Westmoreland County was named after Nathaniel Greene, a major general in the Continental Army. Though he had no direct connection to the area, Greensburg paid homage to his successes in the Southern theater of the Revolutionary War. Well, thank you guys for checking out this video, and if you like this video and videos like this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and share this video with your friends. And as always, remember to get out there and explore. Thanks, guys.